Yo guys, it's JJ. You've come to see a baby drill tutorial, and of course the boy's not out of jail. He's released his new album, of course. Drill Season, as you guys can see, came out just like a week or a few weeks ago. I can't remember exactly. However, I enjoy his music and I thought, let me just show you guys how to make a beat. So let's get into this. First of all, thing you should know about Baby Drill, a lot of his beats kind of range from like 140 to like 160, but mainly within like the 150 range. And as well as that, it's kind of like a Young Nudie-esque kind of vibe, except I think there's like a few little switches in my opinion. It just feels a bit more darker and a less more nudie, if that makes sense. Like Nudie has that kind of character, whereas Baby Drill is like just very dark. So without further ado, let's just get started. First of all, we got ourselves a VST called Expand 2, and we got ourselves a preset called Synth Strings, which I grabbed from the soft pads bank. And as you guys can see, all I did was lay down a very simple pattern. Repeats every 2 bar, but at the end of the 4. But at the end of the 4, there's like a little switch up, which is just me adding the G sharp notes. And as you guys can see, very simple pattern, just copy and pasted it up an octave. And it's quite simple, straightforward. Don't overthink it, very straight to it. And this is what the sound sounds like. And there you have it. Very simple, but sounds really dark, and it kind of already fits that whole vibe we're going for. For effects, all I did was literally just whack an EQ on, and then just stereo separate the sound 44%. And next up, we got ourselves another preset from Expand 2, except it's called a Softy. That's the name of the preset, and it's from the Leads Bank, the Soft Leads Bank to be specific. And as you can see, I've laid down a very simple pattern, but I just develop upon it a bit more within the second part of the 8 bar. But to walk you guys through it, it's quite simple. As you can see, started off on the root note, then literally just followed it down until we got to this nice little part where the notes are a semitone apart, creating tension. And even these little gaps of like 2 notes apart, as you can see, go from 1 to 2. Even these kind of help within that vibe, so you want to keep the notes quite close to each other. Creates a very nice dark feel. And then to develop on it, all I did was just literally kind of climb back up the ladder, if that makes sense. As you can see, it goes like down some stairs, and then I just climb back up. So without further ado, this is what it sounds like. And there you have it. As for effects, we got an EQ cutting up a lot of highs and lows, and a few frequencies I wasn't a fan of. Then I whack on this nice little delay. This is the preset that I kind of like made for it. So, and on top of that, we got a nice little bit of reverb, you know, add ambience and a bit more space. And then I didn't stereo separate this at all. But before we continue real quick, as you guys can see, it's very basic patterns, basic sounds, but it's also the right sounds. It's about the sound you find, the sounds you use. Sound selection is so key for these things. So make sure you kind of trying your best to find good sounds, because there's always a sound out there that is exactly what you're looking for. Right, next up we got ourselves a VST called Purity. We all know Purity, we all love Purity. And as you guys can see, I used a preset called the Delay for You Bell from the Bells and Perk presets. And then I clicked onto edit, and I just kind of increased the attack a bit, just so the bell doesn't hit and it kind of sounds like a pad. So that's why I did that. And as you can see, it's just a very simple pattern. Starts with the root note and then goes down to these nice notes in tension, creating this nice little pattern. And the reason there's so much space here is because you guys will see next, I'm creating a call and response kind of thing with the melody. So this instrument will play the call, which will be this at the start of the 4-bar loop. And then the next instrument will have a nice little thing that takes up this kind of space, and it'll be like the response part of the loop. So when we show you all the sounds, you'll know what I mean. But this is what the Purity sound sounds like. And there you have it. As for effects, very basic again. We got ourselves an EQ here. A nice little bit of RC20, just kept on vinyl 1 and turned everything off apart from the wobble and magnetic. And then a bit of reverb again to create ambience, because Baby Drill loves dark beats. And then I stereo separated this to the max, so it was nice and laid back in the mix. And now next up, we got another sound from Purity, of course, and we are using the lead synth called Synth Bass Lead. Nice name, that's what I picked and that's what I used. And as you guys can see, this is the response part I was on about just a few minutes ago. So we had the nice little sound here from before, and this is what responds to it. And as you guys can see again, making use of those notes in tension. Notes are literally 2 notes apart within the scale, that kind of stuff. You want to keep it very simple, minimalistic, but also just use a nice great sound selection. So without all being said, this is what the sound sounds like. And there you have it. As for effects for the sound, I got a nice little EQ cutting off everything from the belows that just doesn't exist. A nice little love filter, so the synth lead did come off like too harsh in the high end, and then a bit of reverb, of course. And then as you can see, I stereo separated this 100%, just like I did with the other sound. So with the call and response, sounds like it's within the same plane, if that makes sense. And now with all that being said, this is what the final sample sounds like. And there you have it, and as you can hear and tell from the sound, it's very, very Baby Drill like. This will sound super dope on his album Drill Season. So let me get straight into the drums and show you what this is all about. First of all, I'm gonna take you through the 808 pattern, and as you guys can see, it's a very, very messy one. However, that's how Baby Drill beats go. His 808 patterns are very unorthodox. They follow the generic bounce of an 808, if you get what I'm saying. However, he does like to use whatever this space is. This is the kind of patterns I see in his beats a lot, so I used it myself. And I kind of follow the root notes through here and here, but apart from that, everything in between is just going off intuition and instinct. And again, you want to create your nice little own bounce. You don't want to really like follow the root notes the whole way through, as you can see, or else this would all just be C and mess with the octaves. You know what I mean? That's how you have to think outside the box with these 808s. So that's all that can really be said. And without further ado, this is what the 808 pattern sounds like. And there you have it. Very nice 808 pattern. I love the distortion on the 808. It suits the vibe very well. And of course, as I always say, you Control A and use your scroller wheel so you can use these 3 words that I'm about to repeat. Max your velocity. Simple. Makes the 808 hit harder, kick hit harder, punches through the mix. It's exactly what you want. So take my advice, boy. And now of course we got a kick pattern to match it. And as you can see, I've already maxed the velocity out. And one thing I did was I took it down a semitone down to B, because sometimes the kick just sounds better when you look at a few semitones or raise it a bit. So follows the same 808 pattern, but this is what the kick sounds like. And there you have it. Now for the snare pattern, of course, you can see it's a very basic one here, but to put you guys into perspective, as you can see, I've layered the snare with a clap, so it has like a very, very nice sound. Punches through the mix a bit more, gives it that crisp high end, and it also just fills out the space really well. So that's why I layered the instruments. So without further ado, this is what the snare mixed with a clap sounds like. Obviously, I don't think you want to hear the full 8 bar, that's why I didn't play it all, but we all know what it sounds like. Now, next up, we got the hi-hat pattern, and as you can see, I'd call it relatively simple, but let me just walk you guys through it. First of all, one thing you need to know is that, as I said, Baby Drill kind of reminds me of Young Nudie beats. That's just my opinion, so do not shoot me in the comments for that. And as you can see by the hi-hat pattern, I kind of just used a Nudie style, so I did these very basic rolls and then repeated it in the same part again for every 2 bar, like that. Just copy and pasted that roll over for the whole thing. Then I did this nice little roll on the magnet with 1/4 step. And then apart from that, I just dragged these notes down into the parts where it was literally, as you can see, a semitone apart. Thought it sounded nice. And then just a few more rolls as variation to the end of the 4 bar instead of just repeating this little thing again. And then I just copy and pasted it over. It's really not that deep. Just use your intuition. Don't overthink stuff. And this is what the hi-hat sounds like. And there you have it. Very simple. Again, not too much stuff going on, but it just gives it a very, very nice bounce for Baby Drill. And now we've got ourselves the open hat pattern. And as you can see, it repeats every 4 bar. And the way I did it was, I'd like to think the open hat, if you play it the style of the kick, it kind of gives it more of a punch, which is why I kind of did this whole thing here. But then add the other 2 bar within a 4 bar loop. I just have 1 instead of 2. The reason I only have 1 instead of 2 is because I've just for a bit of variation, to be honest. Not keeping it too simple, but obviously just executing that stuff nicely. So with that being said, this is what it sounds like. And there you have it. That's the open pattern, folks. And now, last but not least, I've got myself a nice little reverse open hat I play once in a while. Repeats every 2 bars, you can see. And this is what it sounds like. Simple, straightforward, not much to really delve into, but yeah. And now, without further ado, this is what the full drum pattern sounds like for Baby Drill. And there you have it. So, of course, you've now made it to the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.